Alberta separatism for about a decade now has been hotter, according to pollsters, than Quebec separatism. And with the surprise defeat of Pierre Poilievre, like the polls for years showed he was going to win. I think Western Canadians were feeling pretty positive about that. I think there's sort of a despondency now, if I may, and Western separatist sentiment is higher. Some polls say it's mid 30s without even an official campaign. I'm worried that if this pipeline turns into a tease or a taunt, that separatism is going to boil over because people are going to say, look, we tried our best. We did this grand bargain. We agreed to a carbon tax. We agreed to all these things, and the Liberals never pushed it through. I think that, let me put it this way. Preston Manning, about a year ago, wrote in the Globe and Mail. He said that Mark Carney could be the last Prime Minister of a united Canada because he would drive Alberta away. What do you think the likelihood of that is? Because I think Preston's right. If this pipeline doesn't get built, I think a lot of Albertans are going to say, we've seen this movie before. We know how it ends. We're out of here.
No, there's a lot of frustration. I've been pushed a number of times to play a more amplified role in separation. And I was on stage at an event earlier this year, and I shared with, again, it was a separatist room. That was why I was brought there. And I asked the question, as separatists, do you want a fence like a farmer would have, a chain link fence between Alberta and Saskatchewan? Or do you want a wall like Trump is building? And they're looking at me like I'm an idiot. And I smiled and said, okay, well, maybe we'll just build a moat. We'll just build a 20-foot wide, 10-foot deep moat. Because we have to separate, don't we? We have to separate. And their response was, this is stupid. And I said, you're right. The idea that we're going to physically separate in any way, shape, or form doesn't exist. So all we're doing is trying to create better paperwork. We need the same deal that Quebec has. Let's be clear. We just need a better and fairer deal, which means it's paperwork. And those who are pushing separation on Alberta, the paperwork will be laborious and probably undermine our province in a way that we don't even fathom. We're pretending that we, the separatists, and that's not me, we, the separatists in Alberta, believe that they've got ultimate control over the whole process. I've listened to Rath rant, and I've lost a lot of respect for the idea that there's any single movement. There's a lot of people who are upset, and it's easy to be upset. I mean, look what's been happening to Alberta. And that's where I'm cynical on separation, but I'm very pro a brand new deal.
Well, I mean, in Quebec, they had very charismatic leaders, René Lévesque, Lucien Bouchard. These are people who resonated culturally, ethnically, historically, linguistically. They had a romance to them. And I put it to you, Brett, that I know Jeffrey Rath, and he can be a little bit of a bull in a china shop, but I don't think he is that René Lévesque character. If someone were to present charismatic, young, and say, look, Brett Wilson, I hear what you're saying, but the math just isn't there. When elections are decided in Ontario and Quebec before the West even stops voting, there's no way to fix this. It's down to the numbers. And we've seen this replayed time and again. I think that if the independence movement gets a charismatic leader, and maybe, I don't know who that person would be. Maybe it doesn't exist, but I got to think it does. I don't know. Give me your final thoughts on Alberta in 2026. Are you bullish? Do you think it's going to go well? What do you think of the opposition, Naheed Nenshi? He used to be a classmate of mine. He's pretty left-wing. He can be charming. I disagree with him on everything, but he has, he was mayor of Calgary. What do you think 2026 and onwards going to look like in Alberta?
It's getting interesting. I'm actually a key proponent of a brand new underground metallurgical coal mine. 2 green groups have chosen to sue my company and the government over approving an underground metallurgical coal mine that will produce about 1 million tons a year, maybe 2. Right now, BC ships 29 million tons of metallurgical coal to the world, right now. But the green groups are upset that we're going to go underground and build a mine. So we've got a big pivot still in front of us relative to how the green groups are trying to undermine logical, thoughtful, respectful, environmentally respectful, and responsible pipeline or a coal mine. I'm also advancing on building another power plant. And our issue right now is getting our hands on an engine. We have a site, we have a balance sheet, but we can't get our hands, and we're working on it, don't press me wrong. We're working on getting an engine. because once we have an engine, a turbine, a generator, everything rolls. So, and that's just one little power company, one little coal mine. And we're amplifying what we're doing. And so imagine when you add on what TransCanada is doing, TransAlta is doing, Capital Power, Kineticor, on and on. The power business in Alberta is on the edge of exploding in a positive way. So there's a lot of good things happening there. But again, we got to get past some of the negative noise, and the negative noise is confusion with our friends, the First Nations, and confusion with the green groups who just don't seem to care. We got to get those handled.
Brett, it's great to see you. I was right when I called you an Alberta enthusiast. I want to believe. Believe me, I want to believe, but I have a lot of skepticism in me too. It's great to catch up with you. Maybe we can check in the new year and see how things are looking.
Hopefully, we've moved a step forward.